couple of concepts we need to review. The first one is that a mole is nothing more than a number. This number tells us how many of a substance we have, be it atoms or molecules. It is just a number, but I have no way of counting the number of molecules or the number of atoms in a substance when we get ready to do a chemical reaction. Therefore, we need to know that 1 mole is equal to 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd number of the atoms or molecules. We know that this number of molecules is equal to the molar mass, this mass right here. So argon has a molar mass of 39.95. Therefore, 39.95 grams of argon is equal 95 grams of argon is equal to this number of molecules. This number is called a mole. So if we know this, and we know that we can't count the number of molecules, but we can get the mass of a substance, then we need to be able to go back and forth. When we look at our chemical reactions, the equations are set up, the number of molecules react with and create this many of the molecule. However, we can't measure that, so we can measure the mass. So if we come down here, the next concept we have to go over before we start doing these conversions is in algebra. We know that 2x over 1 times 3 over 4x. These x's cancel out. Our units are the same way. They act like a variable, so they can cancel out. And that will help keep straight what you're looking for and what you're trying to get rid of, whether it's being multiplied or divided. So if we are remembering that 1 mole is equal to the molar mass of the substance. So the question here, how many grams are in 6 moles of nitrogen? 6 moles of nitrogen are my given. 6 moles of nitrogen. The molar mass of nitrogen is 14. So 1 mole of nitrogen equals 14 grams of nitrogen. Since moles of nitrogen are given here, we want 1 mole of nitrogen at the bottom. And then we want this 14 grams written at the top. The moles of nitrogen get canceled out, and what we're left with is 84 grams of nitrogen. So the equation going from moles to grams, moles given, divided by 1 mole times the molar mass of the substance. So let's look at the next. The next one, how many moles are in 0.9 grams of H2O? So in this case, grams of H2O are our given. So when we set this up, we know that 1 mole of H2O is equal to we have hydrogen, there's 2 times 1, and for oxygen, there's 1 times 16. 2 and 16 equals 18. So we know that 1 mole of water equals 18 grams. So when we set up our equation, our given 0.9 grams of water. So now we look at it, we have grams. So when we go to our equality, 18 grams of water goes on the bottom. And 1 mole goes on the top, because that's what we're looking for, is moles. So grams of water cancel out. So 0.9 divided by 18 should equal 0.9, 0.05 grams, or 0.05, should equal 0.05 moles of H2O. So again, all we're doing is we're converting a number of the substance into something that we can use, which is the grams. We can measure grams. We cannot count the number of a substance. Thank you, and let's move on to part 2. Okay, so now we need to look at some chemical equations. In this one, what we can see is we have 6 moles of KOH plus 2 moles of H3PO4 yields 2 moles of K3PO4 and 6 moles of water. So these are just ratios. Another way to look at that, if you remember what we said in the last video, a mole is nothing more than a number. It is telling me how many of these substances or these molecules that we have. So another way to read this is 6 molecules of KOH plus 2 molecules of H3PO4 yields 2 molecules of K3PO4 plus 6 molecules of water. However, keep in mind, again, we can't count molecules, but knowing the ratio and being able to determine the ratio will help us determine the mass of what we need so we can make these reactions occur. So the first part, mole to mole. If we have 5 moles, so our given is 5 moles of H3PO4, how many moles of KOH do we need? So the way we set this up, our given always goes in the upper right box. 5 moles of H3PO4. Okay, Okay, so now we're going to use the moles from the equation. We have moles of H3PO4 as our given, so in order for them to cancel, we need moles of H3PO4 at the bottom. So in this case, we have 2 moles of H3PO4. We are looking for moles of KOH. So we need KOH here, and in the equation we see 6 KOH. So then to figure this out, so then moles of H3PO4 cancel out. So we're left with KOH. So 5 times 6 is 30, divided by 2 is 15. So we need 15 moles of KOH. Okay, so the next part. Okay, so now if we know how many molecules or how many moles we have, now we need to be able to convert it to grams. So in this case, the question is asking, or it's giving us, it says we have 10 moles of K3PO4. So 10 moles of K3PO4. And it's asking us how many grams of KOH do we need? How many grams of KOH is needed? So the way we set this up, again, whatever our given is goes in the upper left-hand corner. So we start with 10 moles of K3PO4. So again, we cannot convert directly from moles of one substance to moles of another. We have to go through the mole ratio. And the mole ratio here, moles of K3PO4, we get here 2 moles of K3PO4 goes on the bottom, 2 moles of K3PO4, and then we are looking for moles of KOH, so that goes right there. So 6 moles of KOH. So now we've converted to the moles that we need in this step. Now we're going to add another step. And this step, we're converting the moles of KOH to grams of KOH. So what we need here is we have 6 moles, so we're going to write 1 mole of KOH. And the 1 mole of KOH, K is equal to, has 39 grams. Oxygen is 16. And hydrogen, and these all are times 1. And hydrogen is 1. So 39 plus 16 plus 1 is 56. So we have 56 grams of KOH. When we go through and we multiply across and divide down, so 10 times 6 divided by 2 times 56, it comes out to 1,680 grams. Okay, so next, So now we can convert, here we convert it from moles of one to grams of the other. Now, to do it the other way, if we know how many grams we have, how many moles do we need? So if we go up here, and our given is we have 20 grams of KOH. And how many moles of H3PO4 are needed? So again, 20 grams of KOH. That's our given, upper left-hand corner. The first thing we need to do is we cannot go grams directly to moles of the second substance, so we need to convert to grams to moles of KOH. So we said earlier that 56 grams in 1 mole, 56 grams of KOH is in 1 mole of KOH. And then we need to take that, and now the second step is to convert moles to moles. And in this case, moles of KOH was 6. So again, your grams of KOH here cancel. Now your moles of KOH. And then we are looking for moles of H3PO4. And that's right here, 2 moles of H3PO4. So moles of KOH cancel out. So it's 20 times 1 divided by 6 times 2 divided by 6 equals 2.3 moles of H3PO4. And last, and this is the one that would actually be the most useful, and this is converting grams to grams. If I have this many grams of one substance, how many grams of another substance do I need? Or how many grams will be produced? So we're going to look at this question, and it's telling us we have 115 grams of KOH. So 115 grams of KOH. We need to convert. We cannot go directly from grams to grams. We need to convert to moles of KOH. So we have 1 mole. And we said 1 mole of KOH was 56 grams. And then we need to do the mole ratio so that we know how many moles of K3PO4 we need. And again, moles of KOH right here, 6 moles of KOH. K3PO4 was 2 moles. And then we need to convert the moles. Now that we know how many moles of K3PO4, we can convert that to grams. We have 1 mole of K3PO4 is equal to 212 grams. And we know that K, there's 3K times 39. Phosphorus, there's 1 at 31. And oxygen, there's 4 at 16. 117, 31, 64 is 212. So now that we have this, 115 times 1 divided by 6, or 56, times 2 divided by 6, times 12 divided by 1. Again, if we go through and follow, we know grams of KOH cancel out here, moles of KOH cancel out here, and moles of K3PO4 cancel out here. And so we wind up with 145 grams of K3PO4. So again, when you do this math, make sure that you multiply across, divide down. Multiply across the top, divide down. Multiply across the top, divide down. Okay, I hope this helps. Please go through, make sure you finish your homework, and have a great day. Thank you.